Hello all, welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Pathfinder and Starfighter 2nd Edition. Today, we're diving into a little underworld indie gem that you might have heard of, Hollow Knight. It's a brilliant blend of Metroidvania exploration and Souls-like challenge. Honestly, I can't even begin to explain the lore, but the vibes, absolutely unmatched. And with Silksong announced and almost out, I think it's the perfect time to build the Knight themselves. So beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. So what exactly do we need to bring the vessel to life? Well, first off, like any good platformer hero, mobility is key. We're talking double jumps, wall jumps, and dashes galore. Second, we need those soul-fueled spells, both to patch ourselves up mid-fight, and to blast our enemies when things get dicey. And finally, the Knight wouldn't be complete without the ability to stand toe-to-toe with gods, though that usually just means dodging out of the way, and then sneaking in strikes whenever you get the chance. One of the best parts about Hollow Knight is there's not a human in sight. Instead, our hero is a tiny little bug, and we'll capture that by building them as a sprite. As a sprite, we're a tiny creature with 6 starting hit points, boosted dexterity, intelligence, and constitution, but with a flawless strength. Our short little legs give us a 20-foot speed, so we've got some work to do before becoming a true mobility master. And for our heritage, we're choosing Malexi, which lets us chat with arthropods, asking them questions, and even using diplomacy to make requests of them. Since the core gameplay loop of Hollow Knight is all about diving into the ruins of Hollow Nest, the Rune Diver background seems a perfect fit. It gives us a boost to charisma and dexterity, as well as training in acrobatics and Roseguard lore. That one's a bit setting specific, but a generous DM might let you swap it out for Hollow Nest lore to stay fully on theme. On top of that, the background gives us the catfall skill feat, letting us ignore fall damage. At first, we treat all falls as 10 feet shorter, but as our acrobatics improves, that reduction scales up to 25 feet at expert, 50 at master, and if we ever hit legendary in acrobatics, we'll always land on our feet without taking any damage, no matter how far we plummet. For our class, the choice is clear. The Knight is a vessel created by higher beings for a quest, and nothing captures that flavor quite like the champion. As a champion, we start out with 10 plus constitution hit points per level. We're expert in fortitude and will saves, while only being trained in perception and reflex saves. Honestly, I'd probably swap out the fortitude for the reflex if I could, but we'll make do with what we've got. Skill-wise, every champion is trained in religion, but we'll also pick up athletics for platforming style challenges, society for piecing together the lore of Hollow Nest, nature for our very own hunter's journal, and survival so that we can navigate before fighting the map guy. When it comes to combat, champions are trained in all simple and martial weapons, and I think the scimitar makes a great stand-in for the nail. It's got a solid damage die and the sweep trait, which fits the Knight's wide arcing strikes. Finally, we're trained in all armor, but since this is a dexterity-based build, we'll likely want to keep things on the light side to stay mobile. For our attributes, strength is a +0. Sure, bugs might be strong for their size, but in this case, that just means lifting sugar cubes, and that's not that much. Dexterity, though, is a +4. Any character capable of no hit runs deserves a max out AC. Constitution is a +1. We can take a couple of hits before giving up the ghost. Literally. Intelligence and wisdom both set at +1, for solving puzzles, and more importantly, figuring out where in the world we're supposed to go next. And finally, charisma is at +2. Our ability to wield soul doesn't need to be taught, so it's reflected with charisma. Now, we get into the meat of the build with our subclass and deity. Since none of Paizo's official gods really fit the world of Hollow Knight, we'll need to work with our GM to homebrew the Pale King as our patron. We don't need a detailed deity stat block for this build. The main benefit is going to be a champion's aura, giving us a 15-foot emanation that lets us trigger our causes reaction. Speaking of causes, none of the Paizo options are a perfect one-to-one, but Liberation comes closest. The Knight's ultimate goal is freeing Hollow Nest Denzians from Radiance's control, so Liberation seems just as good as cause as any. It gives us the Liberating Step reaction. Whenever an enemy harms, grabs, or restrains an ally within our aura, we can respond instantly. If the trigger is damage, our ally gains resistance equal to 2 plus our level, and if they're restrained or mobilized, they get a chance to break free with either a new save or a free escape attempt. And once the dust settles, they can even step for free if they're able to move. At first level, champions also pick up Shield Block, letting us reduce incoming physical damage as long as we've got a shield raised. The Knight doesn't usually carry one, but it shouldn't be too difficult to reflavor something like the Baldur Shelf Charm. We also get our first devotion spell, and that's Lay on Hands. Not only does it restore HP with a single action, it also gives us a +2 status bonus to our AC for 1 round. Although focus in the game usually leaves us open for attack more often than it helps us. On top of that, we get both an Ancestry feat and a class feat. For the class feat, we'll grab Desperate Prayer, which I like to think of as the spam attack and hope for soul tactic. Once per day, if we start our turn with no focus points, we regain 1 as a free action, though it has to be spent on a champion devotion spell. And for our Ancestry feat, we'll take Sprite's Magic to mimic the Knight's Vengeful Spirit attack, giving us a ranged unarmed attack that deals poison damage. Sure, poison doesn't quite match the in-game spell, but since the knight earns Vengeful Spirit so early, this serves as a solid stand-in until we unlock something a little bit closer later on. At level 2, we'll pick up the Acrobat dedication to sharpen our agility. This immediately makes us expert at acrobatics, and we'll keep advancing it as we go to Master at 7 and Legendary by level 15. This steady progression will capture the knight's growing mobility throughout the game, and free up some skill increases for us. Even better, when we critically succeed at tumbling through an enemy's space, we no longer lose speed, and their space no longer counts as difficult terrain. To complement this, we'll grab the Quick Jump skill feat, which lets us pull off a long and high jump with a single action and no running start required. Which is helpful, because anyone who's played Hollow Knight knows just how precise some of those platforming sections can get. Level 3 champions get the Blessing of the Devoted feature, and we're going with Blessed Swiftness to keep boosting our mobility. This gives us a plus 5 foot status bonus to our speed, and when an enemy lashes out at one of our allies who's moving within our aura, that ally gets a plus 2 status bonus on all defenses against the reaction, making it much harder for the attack to connect. To push that speed even further, we'll grab the Fleet feat for another 5 foot increase. Bit by bit, we're turning the knight into the quick, darting bug that we know. At level 4, we gain Divine Grace, which is like that moment when everything clicks and we enter the fabled flow state, suddenly making us actually good at the game. Or maybe that's just me. Mechanically, it lets us use our reaction to gain a plus 2 circumstance bonus to any saving throw against the spell, giving us a clutch defense when we need it most. And to keep stacking on the movement theme, we'll also pick up the Mothwing Cloak with the powerful Leap skill feat, boosting our jumps by adding 5 extra feet of horizontal distance every time we leave the ground. At level 5, champions gain Weapon Expertise and another Ancestry feat, and this time we'll grab Animal Speaker, which combines with our earlier ability to talk to arthropods to let us chat with any of the Dendians of Hollow Nest. At level 6, we get Reactive Strike, letting us punish any creature bold enough to use a move or manipulate action within our reach, with a quick counterattack. On a critical hit, we can even disrupt their movement entirely, letting us dart around the battlefield while preventing enemies from doing the same. And of course, no level would feel complete without another mobility upgrade, so we're going to take Rolling Landing. Whenever we drop down safely, our reflexes let us keep the momentum going. At first, if a fall doesn't deal damage, we can use our reaction to immediately step, and as our acrobatics improve, that ramps up. At Expert, we can step or stride up to half our speed. At Master, it's a full stride, and by Legendary, we're so fluid at this, the movement doesn't even trigger any reactions. Level 7 champions gain both Armor Expertise and Weapon Specialization, giving us a solid bump to our offenses and our defenses. But the real highlight here is Incredible Initiative, which gives us a plus 2 circumstance bonus on our initiative rolls, making us that much more likely to act first. Exactly the kind of lightning fast reflexes that you'll want when heading through a tough boss fight. We unlock Tumbling Strike at level 8, which is about as close as Pathfinder gets to Hollow Knight's dash attack. We roll an acrobatics check against an enemy's reflex DC, slipping through their defenses. On a critical success, we dart right through their space, landing on the other side, ignoring reactions, and striking while they're off guard. On a regular success, we still make it through and strike, just without them being off guard to the attack. If we fail, we stay put, but still get to swing, and only on a critical failure do we lose both the movement and the attack. To go with that, we'll grab the Graceful Leaper skill feat, which turns our jumps into pure expressions of agility rather than brute strength. From here on, whenever we make a high jump or long jump, we can roll acrobatics instead of athletics, letting our balance and finesse carry us even further. We finally unlock the Monarch Wings at level 9 with the Evanescent Wings Ancestry feat, giving us a brief flutter of flight. We take the fly action, gaining a 15-foot fly speed for only that movement. The catch is, if we're not on solid ground when it ends, we come tumbling back down. Still, it's the perfect way to capture that iconic double jump. On top of that, we pick up the usual spread of champion upgrades. Champion Expertise throws our class DC, while Reflex Expertise sharpens our evasive abilities. Sacred Body upgrades our Fortitude saves to Master, and upgrades successful Fortitude saves into critical successes. Great for struggling off nasty effects. And finally, Relentless Reaction supercharges our Liberating Step reaction. Now, if the enemy uses an effect to grab, restrain, immobilize, or paralyze our ally, our Liberating Step also inflicts persistent spirit damage equal to our Charisma modifier. Spectral Advance at level 10 will work perfectly as the Pathfinder take on the Shade Cloak. This ability lets us flash across the battlefield to engage an enemy. With one action, we stride to a space adjacent to them, or with two actions, we can stride twice instead. But this movement doesn't trigger reactions, ignores both difficult and greater difficult terrain, and while we're moving, we gain resistance to all damage equal to our level. It's fast, it's safe, and it falls perfectly in line with the knight's starting invincible dashes. At level 11, our champion gets a nice set of upgrades. Perception Expertise sharpens our awareness, Divine Will boosts our will saves to Master and upgrades successes to critical successes, and the Exalted Reaction feature powers up our Liberating Step. Now, in addition to the ally that we're directly protecting, we and all allies within our aura can also step as a free action. even if the original ally couldn't move. For our feat, we'll take Robust Health, giving us a circumstance bonus to the hit points that we recover equal to our level whenever someone uses treat wounds or battle medicine on us. Even better, we can receive battle medicine once per hour instead of once per day. Thematically, it's a perfect fit for the night. Take a quick breather on a bench, and we're ready to dive back into the fight. At level 12, we pick up the Dodge Away class feat, letting us lean on our acrobatics to slip past incoming strikes. When we're targeted by a melee attack that doesn't catch us off guard, we can use our acrobatics to evade, gaining a +1 circumstance bonus to our AC against that strike. If the attack misses, we can then immediately step, and if we're mastering acrobatics, that step extends to 10 feet instead of 5 feet. This level also gives us the Dubious Knowledge skill feat, which guarantees that we always learn something when we recall knowledge, even if it's not always reliable. On a failure, but not a critical failure, we learn both the right answer and the wrong one, but we can't tell which is which. Which is a little frustrating, but honestly, it feels pretty fitting. Like binging Hollow Knight theory videos and coming away even more confused with the lore than you were when you went in. We gain Armor Mastery and Weapon Mastery at level 13, pushing our Shale and Nail proficiencies to new heights. To go with that, we'll also grab the Fey Cantrip feat, which gives us access to both Dancing Lights and the Figment cantrips. Now I'll admit, Figment isn't the most Hollow-themed option. It lets us conjure a crude illusion of sound or sight, and use that illusion to create diversion with a +2 circumstance bonus to our deception check. The downside is, if it fails, the illusion is instantly disbelieved. Not exactly perfect flavor, but it's a useful tool. On the other hand, Dancing Lights fits beautifully. We can conjure up to 4 glowing lights, each shining like a torch, as long as they stay within 10 feet of each other, and we can sustain the spell to let us move them 60 more feet, so long as they remain within 120 feet of us, making a perfect stand-in for the Lumifly Lantern, lighting our way as we delve through the darker parts of Hollow Nest. At level 14, we'll finally pick up the Mantis Claws with the Wall Jump skill feat. With them, we can use their momentum from a leap to spring from wall to wall. If we finish a high jump, long jump, or leap beside a wall, we don't fall as long as we use our next action to make another jump. At this stage, we can only wall jump once per turn, but if we ever reach Legendary in Athletics, we can use our jumps endlessly, as long as we have the actions. We'll also expand our magical arsenal with spells to the Sorcerer dedication, letting us select a magical bloodline. I know what immediately may come to your mind may be the Angelic bloodline, but I actually think the Acer bloodline fits better. It speaks of the knight's unyielding drive to rise again and fight, even after losing the memory of their purpose. This bloodline gives us 2 cantrips from the Divine spell list, Void Warp and Divine Lance. Void Warp channels the Abyss itself, targeting a foe within 30 feet. They take void damage on a failed Fortitude save, and on a critical failure, they're also enfeebled 1 until our next turn. But Divine Lance is a true stand-in for our Vengeful Spirit spell, unleashing a ranged blast of spirit energy that strikes the enemy for direct damage. Nothing fancy, just a clean, powerful shot of raw force. This should fully replace the Sprite Spark feat that we took back at level 1. At level 15, our Nail Strike sharpen once again with greater weapon specialization, pushing our damage even further. To bolster our endurance, we'll also take the Toughness general feat, increasing our maximum hit points by our level, and reducing the DC of any recovery checks that we need to make by 1. At level 16, we unlock Cloud Jump, which is about as close to the Crystal Heart as we get in Pathfinder. On a successful long jump, we triple the distance, while a successful high jump uses the same distance math as a long jump, minus the tripling. If we want to push ourselves even further than our speed would normally allow, we can spend additional actions to extend our jump, adding our speed to the distance limit each time. But distance alone isn't the only upgrade this level has to offer, because we also gain basic Sorcerer spellcasting, granting us 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rank spells. For those spells, we'll get Defended by Spirits, which kind of approximates our Howling Wraith ability. We summon spiritual echoes to punish any allies that dare strikes us or an ally. Resist Energy will work as an Ishmael's Tear, shielding us from acid or whatever other elemental threat that we need protection against. And finally, Claim Curse is the heart of our quest. We draw a curse from an ally and bear it ourselves, embodying the knight's destiny as the one who must carry the Radiance's infection. At level 17, we gain Champion Mastery and Legendary Armor, cementing both our resilience and our divine power. And on top of that, our Ancestry feat, Along the Deep River, gives us a form of rebirth fitting for the Vessel of Hollow Nest. Once per year, when we die, our essence transforms into a glowing wisp of light. After a week, we return to life as if under the effect of a successful 9th rank reincarnate ritual, which always returns us as a sprite, though our heritage might be a little iffy. I know, it's not the same as leaving a shade behind that we must hunt down and defeat to reclaim our strength and items, but it's close enough for jazz. At level 18, we unlock the Quick Spring feat, letting us pogo jump off of enemies. When we succeed in an acrobatics check to tumble through an enemy's space, we can immediately stride again as a free action after our movement. literally springboarding off of our foes to chain leaps across the battlefield. For our class feat, we'll pick up Expert Sorcerer spellcasting, granting us 4th, 5th, and 6th rank spell slots. Talking Corpse becomes our dream nail, animating a body to dredge up lingering thoughts and secrets, though the clarity and honesty of those answers vary depending on the target's will save. Blink Charge is our go-to stand-in for mixing mobility with offenses. It lets us teleport to a foe and strike with explosive force, even knocking them back on a critical hit. And finally, Spirit Blast is our Shade Soul spell, channeling pure ethereal energy into a ranged attack to deal spirit damage with a basic fortitude save. If you thought not having a class feat level 19 means we can't take any more spells, then think again, because we'll pick up Axima's Awakening, giving us 2 more cantrips and both a 1st and 2nd rank spell, this time from the Arcane list. Gouging Claw becomes our Great Slash Nail Art, letting us deliver a melee spell attack that slices deep and leaves foes bleeding, with doubled punishment on our crit. Time Sense reflects our uncanny precision needed for Hollow Knight boss fights, granting us exact awareness of time and even a +1 status bonus to rolls that hinge on perfect timing, which, let's be honest, is basically every swing in Hollow Knight. From there, we had the Jump spell, letting us instantly jump 30 feet to any spot we choose, and False Vitality for a splash of lifeblood, granting us temporary hit points and giving us swinging longer. And then, of course, there's our ultimate devotion spell, Hero's Defiance. When a blow would drop us to 0 hit points, we stand firm, shouting defiance at death itself, and a surge of healing fills us. If this healing keeps us above 0 hit points, we don't fall or falter, and we can keep on fighting. And finally, at level 20, we round out the build with 2 fitting capstones. Kip Up lets us spring to our feet from prone as a free action, never provoking enemy reactions. And then there's Swift Paragon, a class feat that makes our very presence a shield for our allies. If they begin a move action within our aura, the movement won't trigger enemy reactions, keeping them safe as they dart across the battlefield. And on top of that, we're permanently quickened, giving us an extra action each turn to step, stride, or fly. It's the perfect capstone for the relentless mobility that we've been building throughout this entire build. And that's a wrap on building the Knight from Hollow Knight in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. From mastering the fluid mobility of double jumps, wall jumps, and dashes, to channeling the power of the void, this build captures the essence of the little bug that could. If you enjoyed this build, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for new character builds every week. And drop your own ideas for builds on how to build Hollow Knight or any other character in the comments below. But until next time, keep rolling high, and we'll catch you in the next one.